Back everyone, the iPhone SE 3 ended up coming out not too long ago, so let's go and compare it against the iPhone 8 Plus and see which specific iPhone you should go and pick up. Now we'll leave some iPhones I would recommend this year, link down in the description. You can get them from there and help support the channel at the same time. Now the iPhone 8 Plus is a much bigger phone than the iPhone SE 3rd generation. You have a massive 5.5-inch panel on the iPhone 8 Plus, but it's a really good looking panel still. The panel itself is fine. The bezel around it is not what I'm a fan of, and you still have the home button here and Touch ID, which I like. Theoretically, the Touch ID sensor and the home button should be around the same thing on both these phones. I don't think one iPhone is going to be better in terms of the home button, at least I don't think so, but the performance is going to be better on the iPhone SE 3, so that's a big thing to keep in mind. With the iPhone SE 3, you're getting a smaller 4.7-inch panel, so it is a smaller phone overall, which is expected, but you're getting the same design. So you're getting the same bezel up top, the same type of bezel proportionate to the bottom. You're still getting the home button down here, which is great. I love the home button and I love Touch ID. I'm just not a fan of the bezel and everything like that. So that pretty much covers it up there. Now, in terms of the side, you are getting, I guess, kind of the same thinness. The iPhone 8 Plus is a much bigger phone, so keep that in mind. But the thinness and thickness is almost the same. I think the 8 Plus is a little bit thicker, but they almost feel almost identical, to be honest. On the back, we have glass backs on both. My iPhone 8 Plus is cracked, but it's totally okay. You have Apple logos on the both of back of them, but the Apple logo in the SE3 is centered. The iPhone logo down here too, which is very interesting. Dual camera setup on the iPhone 8 Plus, single camera setup on the iPhone SE3, but that kind of covers it up on the outside. Both of them have IP certification, both have wireless charging too, which is nice, and it's way too bright right now, which is crazy. Okay, that should be a little bit better, but I don't necessarily think one iPhone is, insanely way better in terms of the build quality than the other one, in my opinion. Now, in terms of longevity, this is a very interesting part because the iPhone 8 Plus isn't really going to be supported for that much longer. So it's going to be getting the next version of software and then quite potentially the next one after that, but it's not going to be lasting an insane amount of time. Theoretically, it's probably going to last maybe until 2024, and then it's going to be unsupported there. Or something like the iPhone SE 3, I mean, this iPhone is just getting started, so that's a massive thing to keep in mind. But also, it has that newest chipset inside and has more RAM than the iPhone 8 Plus. So theoretically, this iPhone should be a better build quality. So theoretically, this iPhone should be faster than the iPhone 8 Plus, which is so crazy. You would never think an iPhone like this would get into that category, but that's basically what happened. So that's kind of what we expect. The iPhone 8 Plus is still going to be supported for a few years, but the iPhone SE 3 is here to stay for sure. Now let's go and do a speed comparison between both these phones. The iPhone 8 Plus had that Apple A11 Bionic chip inside of it with 3GB of RAM. The iPhone SE 3 has that Apple A15 Bionic chip inside of it with 4GB of RAM. So let's go and see which one is the faster one between both. Okay, there we go. Hopefully you guys can see the panels between both. I'll go and turn up the brightness and hopefully adjust it later on, but this is basically me clearing out all the applications on this iPhone, and all of them are cleared out here, so let's get into it. 8 Plus here, SE3 here, phone calls 3, 2, 1, and about the same thing, not really that big of a difference there. Hopping out of both of them. Don't know why this one doesn't want to go. There we go. Music 3, 2, 1. And the iPhone SE3 was faster. The iPhone 8 Plus a little bit behind. That was actually a pretty big difference between both of them. Hopping out of this one, App Store 3, 2, 1. You can see the SE3 again is the faster one. Got into this newer pop-up there. Still don't know why that happens. Scrolling through here, you guys can see if there's a difference. And I don't really see one, but the SE3 was definitely faster. Now I'm going to click the home button at the same time, 3, 2, 1. And they both close out of the application at the same time. Let's get into recents, 3, 2, 1. Pretty much the same thing, not one just faster than the other one there. Clock, 3, 2, 1. And a little bit of a delay on the iPhone SE on the iPhone 8 Plus, totally okay. Hopping out of this one, let's go and get into photos, 3, 2, 1. And you can see again, both are kind of the same. They're not really that big of a difference. Podcasts, 3, 2, 1. And SE3 I think was the faster one there. Hopping out of this one, let's go and get into something like mail, 3, 2, 1. iPhone SE3 was faster there for sure. And as always, we have a bunch of these third-party applications that we can go and test on both. Facebook 3, 2, 1. And this one didn't want to open up, but I'm sure the SE3 would have been faster. Fruit Ninja 3, 2, 1. And it's looking like the SE3 is going to be much faster here. And it definitely was. The 8 Plus wasn't super far behind, but definitely the SE3 was the faster one there. And hopping out of this one, let's go and get into something like Stack 3, 2, 1. And kind of difficult to see on both, to be honest. Hopping out of this one, let's go and get into Thank You 3, 2, 1. And the SE3 was faster there too. And the iPhone 8 Plus a little bit behind gameplay wise. I think the iPhone SE3 is going to be faster. Hopping out of this one, Snake vs. Blocks 3, 2, 1. And it's looking like the iPhone SE3 was faster again. The iPhone 8 Plus a little bit behind. Getting out of this one. Let's go and get into Netflix. 3, 2, 1. And the iPhone SE3 again was a faster one. Hopping out of this one. We'll get into BOFA. 3, 2, 1. And the SE3 was faster again. The iPhone 8 Plus a little bit behind. Hopping out of there. Temple Run 2. 3, 2, 1. And you can see again the iPhone SE3 is much faster here. And you did see some stuttering on the iPhone 8 Plus a little bit, but nothing crazy. But you are getting a overall faster phone on the iPhone SE3 for sure. We can try something like Snapchat, which I don't even have. I do have 3, 2, 1. Still faster on the iPhone SE3. You're definitely going to be getting a much faster phone on the iPhone SE3 for sure, and that's kind of expected. You know, the iPhone 8 Plus is a couple years older than the iPhone SE3, so I'm glad that that's happening. I will definitely tell you that the 8 Plus is still a pretty fast phone, but the iPhone 8 Plus, but the iPhone SE3 was definitely faster here, so that kind of covers it up there. Now let's go and hit on the cameras. Now on the back, the iPhone 8 Plus has that dual camera setup, a wide and a telephoto lens. The iPhone SE3, on the other hand, has that single wide-angle lens. 12 megapixel sensors on both, 4K at 60 on the back. They both can do 1080p on the front though, so keep that in mind. Now I have talked about this for a while, but the iPhone 8 Plus's camera is still pretty good. You know, I don't have too many complaints about it when compared to the iPhone SE3. Surprisingly, you do have an extra camera on the iPhone 8 Plus on a 2017 phone, where this 5-year newer phone, on the SE3 doesn't have that capability. You still have things like 4K at 60 on the back, which is good. You do have portrait mode, which is great on here too. But I will tell you the SE3's quality is probably better because of the much newer chipset, but this is still a pretty good camera when compared to the SE3. Some advantages, you're getting, I guess, that extra sensor, which is that telephoto lens, which is nice, but that's really about it. On something like the iPhone SE third generation, I mean, I'm pretty surprised that this iPhone was even made, you know, with this type of camera. I think Apple could have done a better job. I think it does the job, period, but it doesn't really do anything else. It just doesn't really surprise me anymore, and I just think, you know, it's basically the same thing as the SE2, to be honest. You still have portrait mode, but you are lacking that extra sensor that the iPhone 8 Plus has. So when it comes down to it, the iPhone 8 Plus camera I think is probably better overall than the iPhone SE3. This camera is not bad, but I'm surprised that the 8 Plus is this good when the SE3 is really not as good in some areas. So that's probably the best way I can put it, to be honest. And to kind of sum up this whole entire video, I can definitely tell you, I think the iPhone 8 Plus is still a decent phone when compared to this new budget tier device, but you have to remember this was a flagship or like a mid-tier flagship of 2017. I think this iPhone still surprises me. I think it still has a lot of stuff off its sleeves. I don't necessarily think you have to go and upgrade immediately today to the SE3, but if you're looking at one of these phones, I think going to the SE3 is probably the better choice if you want to keep an iPhone for the next like couple of years. This iPhone is going to be lasting you for probably 5 to 6 years from now, but it really depends on, you know, how long you plan on keeping this phone. If you plan on keeping a phone now for like 2 years, if you plan on upgrading by like 2024, then the 8 Plus is still probably perfectly fine. I don't really see a big reason to go and get this one. But if you plan on keeping an iPhone for somebody for years and years to come, and you don't mind a little bit weirder battery life in some areas, a little bit of a dated design when compared to something like an iPhone 13, well then I think this iPhone is perfectly fine. But do keep in mind you still have something like an 8 Plus lingering around that you can always go and buy for a much cheaper value as well. So that kind of covers it. If you guys have any other questions or anything like that, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.